We are starting early this year, man. Let's go over my top 7 teams you need to rebuild in college football 2016 when the game drops. So obviously, this is a super early list, man. When the game actually drops and we're able to see actual team overalls and different players and their development traits, all of that, we'll drop another list. Probably will be 10 that time, but for now, we're dropping the top 7. If y'all do enjoy the content, like, comment, subscribe. Subathon is coming on Twitch, man. July 7th when the game come out, we are streaming over on Twitch, and we're also live tonight, so go tap in. Now, with that being said, let's hop into the first team on my list, man. We got 7 in no order at all, but 7 teams I think is going to be super interesting for one reason or another, and we're going to start off hot, man. This team means a lot to me. The Temple Owls, man. I love the new logo. But my Temple Owls, we bring in, what was that, the 132nd ranked draft class, man? Recruiting class. 132nd ranked recruiting class, man. This is a team that only signed, 12 players here? But it's always tough to sign players when you fire your head coach, man. For the last 4 years, we went 3-9. 3-9 the last 4 years, had to let the coach go, brought in a new guy, we'll see what he do. But this is a Temple team that kind of struggles to recruit, as you see, as we're ranked 132nd for a couple reasons. Maybe it's money, not having enough money, but also it's tough to convince people to come live in Philadelphia, man. I'm from Philly, love Philly, but it's tough. It is a tough situation, man. So this is a great team to rebuild. As far as like recruiting is going to be difficult. Maybe you put some restrictions on, you only can recruit, the DMV, throw in New Jersey, Philly, maybe Ohio, maybe just some surrounding states, some stuff like that. It could be a super fun rebuild. And I rebuilt this team this past year, as a lot of you guys know, and I had an absolute ball. I had a great time, man. They're located in the American Conference, and this is a team that, like I said, 3-9 the last couple years, but even before that, man, only the Matt Rule days helped us, man. Only the Matt Rule days, back when we was winning 10 games. It's a program that only won 10 games 3 times in all of history, and 2 of those times was Matt Rule, who we all know who that is. But at this point, man, this is a very, very tough situation. Back here in this 2019, 20 to 2021 days, this is when I was with the team. I was with the program. It was just losing games, man, but it is what it is. So for this next team, I probably got to do a little bit of explaining, because some people might be, this is not a team you should rebuild. In my head, every single rebuild don't have to be the hardest thing in the world. Sometimes you could rebuild a mid-tier team and you just do a quick little 3-4 year rebuild and take them to the national championship. Maybe a team that couldn't get over the hump, whatever reason. It don't always have to be the bottom of the bottom. And with this next team, it's not the bottom of the bottom team, especially with Deion standards, man. We're going to go with Colorado here. They bring in the number 35th ranked class. This is a recruiting class. You bring in a guy like Julian Lewis. This is your high school recruiting class, which is pretty good. It's not many players, but it's a lot of 4 stars and a lot of solid players that could contribute very quickly. So some of these guys might come in with good overalls, good ratings. You even got guys like Farrakhan, who could be a very good receiver, but he's only, 89, when it comes to the rating by, 0-3 recruiting. This is what we're using here. But what really interests me, when you come down here to the transfer portal class, they bring in a very good transfer portal class. You got some guys from Alabama, some transfers from Alabama. You also bring in Caden Salters, who is a very good quarterback in college football 25. He was like an 89 overall. I'm interested to see what his overall will be this year. Probably be like 86. I think it'll be a little bit lower because he just didn't have the year he expected. But this is a team, the reason I put this team on here, because they lost so much. This is one of the teams that lost the most, like just out of all the teams out there. Just think of the starters you lose, man. You lose your entire wide receiver core. Yes, you lose Travis Hunter, and everyone know the Heisman Trophy winner. You losing your top corner and receiver. First of all, you're losing the best corner and the best receiver in college football. But also, you're losing your number 2 receiver, number 3, number 4, and your number 5 receiver. No, you only lost your top 4, man. The 5th receiver still there. But you lose your top 4 receivers. You lose your starting quarterback. Say what you want about Shador. Good player. You're losing him as well. You're also losing your entire O-line, which is, you might say that's a good thing. It could be, man. You literally bringing back one starter on the O-line, and that's going to be Jordan Seaton, the former 5-star. Everyone else will be new. Your D-line will look different. You lose your best linebacker. You lost a top corner. you lose everything. You lost two of your top corners as well, Travis Hunter and then also Colton Hood. It's going to be a challenging rebuild. This next year is a question mark what Colorado will look like. I think going forward, it could be a fun rebuild, especially with all the stuff going on around with Colorado. Think about it, man. We all stayed up at night watching them Colorado games when it was like 11, 12 o'clock at night, man. Long day college football. And them games were entertaining. That's kind of what you're getting here with, the Colorado roster. Like I said, it's not a horrible team. You can win a championship 2-3 years. You just need really a couple top recruiting classes. You're not going to struggle that much to recruit. You shouldn't at least, but could be a fun one for sure, man. Next, let's go over to the SEC, and this is going to be the only SEC team on this list right here, man. We're going to go Mississippi State, and the worst team in the SEC last year. That's a fact, man. They went 2-10. That's not very good, man. RP Mike Leach, but ever since their coach passed away about 2-3 years ago, man, the program had just been downhill. He was turning the program around, doing a very good job. But of late, the program is just not doing that well. And this is the recruiting class from last year. So this is going to be the players on your roster. They signed the worst class in the SEC. I mean, I feel like that tells you a lot. They signed the 13th recruiting class in the SEC. Not the worst. It is not the worst. You got, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Vanderbilt signing worst classes. But 13th is not good enough, man. It's not good enough. So you're going to not struggle to recruit because you're always in the SEC. You're, a well-known program. You're going to be able to get good players. But it's just competing in the SEC when you're all the way at the bottom and working your way up to the top is very difficult because every week is no walk in the park, man. But this could be a super fun rebuild. Like I said, recruiting won't be super difficult. You do have the in-state rivals, Ole Miss. You got to compete with every single guy you're going to bring in. So that is something to consider. But I think this definitely is a tough rebuild, but should be fun and challenging. Next, let's move over to the Mountain West Conference and talk about Hawaii, who actually brings in the 116th recruiting class, which is better than my Temple Owls. That is better. They brought in 15 recruits, 14 three-star players here, man. But the thing about Hawaii is always going to be tough to recruit because at least in the game, But I think about this. Hawaii rebuild that I did for my live streaming series this past year was one of the most fun series I've had on this channel, man. Some of the most fun I had playing college football was rebuilding them. I also moved them to the SEC, which is not realistic at all, but it was a super fun challenge that I enjoyed very much. You don't have to go that far. You don't, because even without moving them to the SEC, it's still going to be a super challenging rebuild because recruiting is always going to be an uphill battle, man. In-state recruits is just, minimum. At least in college football 25, Hawaii would not produce certain players. They would not produce quarterbacks. Like, they would not produce running backs either. They would produce linemen, both offense and defense, and linebackers, man. Primarily, that's all they produce in college football 25. Obviously, this next game probably will be different, but that makes it tough. Everyone you have to go after pretty much is out-of-state guys. You don't have great pipelines. It's tough to convince people to come to Hawaii in real life. But this is a team that also hasn't had a winning record since 2019. They're struggling. Man. They went 5-7 this past year. So it's a chance to take over the Rainbow Warriors. And it's a super popular rebuild, I feel like. But like I said, I enjoyed it very much. So the next school is on my list is actually going to be two schools, man. It's going to be the new FBS programs. I decided just to group them all together. So that's going to be Delaware and then also Missouri State, man. The newest teams, the FBS. Last year we got Kennesaw State, the new team. This year we got two. So it should be interesting. Probably will also be two popular rebuilds, man. But Delaware, I'm interested in the Delaware rebuild, who actually brings in a better recruiting class than my Temple Owls. Once again, man, we getting out-recruited to new FBS teams, man. When they got this class, they wasn't even in FBS yet. But they do bring in 20 prospects, which is more than us. But only 10 of them are 5-star, 3 stars. The rest of them pretty much going to be unranked. So it's going to be interesting to see what overall this roster will be. It might be the worst overall roster in the game. This school and then also Missouri State. I believe Ball State and Kennesaw State this last year was like the two worst rosters. So we can expect these two rosters probably to be the lowest overall. So the lowest overall team is always a good team to take over. Delaware is going to be tough to recruit because I imagine if pipelines is anything like this year, they just don't give these new FBS schools many pipelines. Like Kennesaw State, yes, they're in Atlanta. Yes, they're in Georgia. but they just did not have many pipelines because they're a brand new team to FBS. So I assume it'll be something similar here. They probably just won't have many pipelines for these schools. So definitely a good choice. Definitely will be a super popular pick, as like I said, they're new to FBS and everyone going to want to use them, see their jerseys. And also Delaware, I think they're going to have some pretty fire jerseys. We'll see what happens. But jerseys, the field, all of that play a factor in who you should rebuild, in my opinion. Let's go independent. Let's go to an independent conference, man, or a team that don't have a conference. And you have the chance to move them wherever you would like. Throw them in the SEC, man. Why not? We're going to go Massachusetts, who only brought in 10 players this past season. They're ranked 138th recruiting class. And, yeah, it's a tough roster, man. They do have a quarterback, though. You do have a quarterback who is a 3-star. Okay, you do have the future of the program, man. So that's good. But also consider that this is a team that hasn't had a winning record in over 100 years. Yes, you heard that correct. 1901. Was they even keeping stats back then, man? 1901 is the last time they had a winning record, man. The program went away for a while, came back. And since they've been back, they literally have not won more than 4 games. That's brutal, man. Went 2-10 this past season. I think this is a fun one, man. I think it's a super challenging, super fun one. Pipelines is going to be brutal, recruiting, tough, but could be fun, man. Make your own head coach, go crazy, move them to a conference. Like I said, I say throw them in the SEC, at least throw them in, group of 4, or excuse me, Power 4 level, man. Maybe you want to go Big 10. That's probably your best bet. Maybe that's most realistic. There's nothing realistic throwing them in Power 4, but if you were to, probably Power or Big 10 probably would make the most sense. But I think it's a super fun rebuild, man. Go with the independent school for now. For now, they're independent. I had to look it up because I knew they was going back to the MAC. I thought it was the 2026 season. It's 2025. So they will be in the MAC conference this upcoming year. Unfortunate, man. I wanted to keep them in independent. But they will be back in the MAC for this 2025 season. So in the video game, they should be in the MAC as well. No fun, man. Moving to the Big 10 anyway. And I also want to put at least one ACC school in here, man. And there's no better choice than the 2-10 Florida State. This is a team that was very good the year before. And they started this past season ranked. They did. They started, I think, ranked 11th, if I remember right. Maybe it was ranked top 10, but I believe it was 11. And obviously, they won 2 games, man. When they lost week 1, or really week 0, I think they played. When they lost week 0, I believe they lost to UMass. No, losing to UMass crazy. No, they lost to Boston College. Week 2, when they lost to Boston College, that was a red flag, man. The Georgia Tech game, people was like, okay. But Boston College lost, everyone was shook because they still was ranked going to this Boston College matchup. They still was ranked like number 11. So it looked crazy. You had a 0-2 team ranked number 11. What looks insane for at the moment because I think they played week 0 and after week 0 they don't do rankings, whatever. That's how it worked out. But this is another super interesting rebuild, man. The head coach is still there. They didn't fire Mike. He's still there. So you have that working for you. But this is a team that went 2-10 and only beating Kyle and then the FBS school is not ideal. That's not ideal, man. I think they'll bounce back. Also, when you consider recruiting for Florida State, probably won't be too difficult. The roster shouldn't be all that bad. Neither. They bring in the number 20th ranked recruiting class, which is pretty darn good. Also got some transfers. This is not going to be that tough of a rebuild. Kind of same concept that you get with, Colorado, where it's a rebuild that might only take you 3-4 years. Every rebuild don't have to be 7-8 years. Sometimes you just get the mid teams and you go ahead, rebuild them, knock them out, hop into the next one. But hey, man, that's all I got for y'all boys today. Like I said, we'll drop another version of this once the game actually comes out, and we'll also do, my top 10 teams instead of top 7. Also, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, man. Go over to Twitch. We're live tonight, and we're doing a 24-hour stream only on Twitch. It's only going to be on Twitch when the game come out on July 7th. Appreciate y'all boys, and we on to the next one.